Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be talking completely about genetically modified crops. To be very specific, we will be talking about genetically modified mustard. Okay, so in this video, I'll be telling you about what is this term genetically modified and what is the importance of producing genetically modified mustard for the Indian economic perspective. See, genetically modified crops have many advantages. One such advantage is that it will aid in our food security. The second important advantage, okay, apart from the food security, which will have a social angle, we have an economic and a very important angle with respect to the development of genetically modified mustard. And today's newspaper, that is 16 September 2023, today's newspaper, there's an entirely good article about the genetically modified mustard. That is the reason why in this video, we will be talking completely about genetically modified crops, their importance, and what is the significance of the genetically modified crops, especially the mustard. Okay, so if you have not watched the other videos in the Legacy IAS YouTube channel, I would strongly recommend you to watch the other videos and also consider subscribing to the Legacy IAS YouTube channel and also press the bell icon before continuing with this particular video. Okay, what is the context? Why are we even talking about this? See, recently there came a report called as Global Food Security and Nutrition Report. See, this is a very important report that got released recently. Okay, so the 2019 part of this report, the Global Food Security and the Nutrition Report in the year 2019 that got released, says that it is very hard for us to achieve something called a zero hunger. What is zero hunger? Which means if India is able to provide required amount of nutrients and food in the calorific value to all its 144 crore population, 144 crore population, which means we have eliminated hunger, then we can call it as zero hunger. Which means it is very hard for India to achieve the target of zero hunger by 2030. Okay, why is it happening? See, one thing is that at the end of the day, everything boils down to demand and supply. One thing is that the demand, that is 144 crore people start demanding 3 times meal every day. It's huge food that either India has to produce. Okay, second, if India is not able to produce that much of food, second option for India is to import that much amount of food. Okay, if we want to import, then we'll have to shell out dollars. At the end of the day, importing the agricultural products is always detrimental to the growth of the economy because this will derail our foreign exchange reserves. No country wants to import its food security unless and until if that country is situated in the Middle East where the agriculture is not sophisticated, agriculture is not capitalistic in nature, where because of the geographical conditions they can't grow crops, except that none of the countries in the world, okay, want to import their agricultural essential needs. So importing is not an option. Second thing, this is the demand side. Okay, 144 crore people. If you look at the supply side of the food, okay, look at these limited resources. One is the land, very much limited. Water for irrigation, very much limited. Correct? And that too, the Indian agriculture is said to be gambling with monsoon, because even if the monsoon is more, Indian agriculture gets affected. If the monsoon is less, even then the Indian agriculture gets affected. So it is like a gamble that the India is having with respect to the monsoon in India. So land, water, all these things are limited resources. Then fertilizers, if we talk about, pesticides, if we talk about, see, all these are limited resources, but the population is consistently increasing. The global population report says the Indian population will continue to increase till 2048. Okay, which means almost in the next 25 years the Indian population increases. Correct? After 2048, by 2070 the population declines, and by the end of the century India will have somewhere around 95 crore people. Okay, the population will decrease. This is what the World Population Report says. If you look at this projection of the population with the availability of limited resources, it is really hard for the country like India to supply food to all 144 crore people. Okay, this is the problem that we have. To solve this problem, see, we started our discussion with the genetically modified mustard. Then you might be thinking, why is he talking about the zero hunger when the discussion should be about genetically modified crops? See, the solution is genetically modified crops. If you have understood this demand and supply mismatch, okay, in order to get more yield and to make the crops more resilient. The technology that the people are using in the future, will be using in the future, will be genetically modified crops. That is, GM crops are the solution to this demand and supply mismatch. That is the reason why I was talking to you about the zero hunger target. Okay, now let's understand what are these genetically modified crops. Clear? See, with respect to biology, one important thing that you would have already heard about is something called as recombinant DNA technology. Okay, recombinant DNA technology, which was started in the year 1973 by a person called Paul Berg. Paul Berg in the year 1973 demonstrated the first recombinant DNA. See, what is this recombinant DNA? Let's say there is one DNA that you want. Okay, this is one DNA fragment. See, DNA at the end of the day is a genetic material. Just imagine that is a genetic material. So this DNA, a specific genetic material, is isolated and through the clinical process is transferred into a plant. Simple. That is genetically modified crop. If a desired DNA is isolated and placed inside a plant, and this plant will be called as genetically modified crops, which means the genetic material of the plant, the original genetic material of the plant, has been changed, has been morphed by the clinical processes. This desired genetic material is put inside the plant. So this is called as genetically modified crops using the recombinant DNA technology. You can see the crops are derived from the plants whose genes are artificially modified. This is what I've explained here. It is artificially modified. Okay, so such products are called as genetically modified crops. Why do we do it? Why? What is the need for us to modify the original genetic material of a crop? Look at the advantages. They become tolerant to herbicides, resistance to diseases, drought prone, improved nutritional value, and also high variety. See, these are the advantages that we get if we conduct genetically modified technology. Okay, if we start producing the agricultural produce through the genetically modified technology, these are some of the advantages that we are having. Now, what is specific to genetic mustard? The same way, the process that I've explained you, early 2010 we're talking about, or early 2000 if you consider, one variety of genetically modified mustard was developed, and that was famously called as DMH11. Okay, DMH11 was one specific variety of genetically modified mustard that was developed. Okay, so this genetically modified mustard was very much tolerant. It's a herbicide tolerant mustard. Herbicide tolerant mustard. You can see here DMH11. Okay, so this is the reason why we have the genetically modified mustard till 2022. Remember this, a very important, till 2022, genetically modified mustard was not given permission by the Indian government to the farmers. So farmers wanted to grow this, but the government did not give them the permission. So in the government, you might ask, who is the agency which is about to give the permission? Okay, very important prelim specific bit that I'm giving you. An organization called is GEMC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, an organization called as GEMC, Genetically Modified Appraisal Committee, which works under the Ministry of Environment. Okay, is the nodal agency to give permission for the genetically modified crops. It's not only mustard. This is the agency that would give the permission for genetically modified cotton, for genetically modified brinjal, whatever the product it is the agency that is tasked. So in the year 2022, GEMC, which works under the Ministry of Environment, gave permission for the farmers for the commercial growth of DMH11, that is genetically modified mustard. So this is the reason why genetically modified mustard is in news. If we talk about why genetically modified mustard, why are we even talking about it? Why is it necessary? Why should we come out with the genetically modified mustard only? See, mustard, the main important application of the mustard is in the domestic field. okay, for our daily consumption in the form of edible oil, okay, mustard oil. Clear? So for the amount of mustard oil, for the production of the mustard oil, genetically modified mustard is very, very important. See, I'll give you some data to understand why is the edible oil so important for us. See, every year, let's take about 2022 as an example, the year 2022. India is the largest consumer of the edible oil in the world. Of course, this is true because India has the largest population in the world, so people consume edible oil. Our demand is 25 lakh tons of edible oil per year. This is the amount of edible oil that we consume. 25 lakh tons of edible oil. Out of this 25 lakh tons, around 8.5 lakh tons is our domestic production. Okay, we produce 8.5 lakh tons of edible oil and we consume 25. So where are we getting the deficit from? The remaining 13 to 14 lakh tons of edible oil is our import. Okay, it is just our import. To import this 13 to 14 lakh tons of edible oil, you know how much money do we spend? We spend 1.17 lakh crore rupees. 1.17 lakh crore rupees. So now, if we develop genetically modified mustard from 8.5 lakh tons, if we increase this production to 15 lakh tons, we are creating new employment for the farmers. We are generating the farmers' income. At the same time, we are also skipping this 1.7 lakh crores rupees that is going out of the Indian economy. This is the main important reason why the government is pushing for genetically modified crops. That too, to be specific, genetically modified mustard. Okay, so along with this, genetically modified cotton has also been given permission to, and now we have the genetically modified mustard, and people are demanding the permission for genetically modified brinjal also. Okay, that is also on the cards. What is the significance of the genetically modified crops? We have talked about this. Genetically modified crops are herbicide resistant, they are drought prone, okay, the drought resistant, and you don't have to, they are high yield varieties. If you have a normal crop, if you get 10 groundnuts per plant, if it's a genetically modified plant, then you'll be getting somewhere around 15 to 20 groundnut seeds. So like this, there are a lot of advantages with respect to genetically modified crops in India. So this is with respect to the GM crops and genetically modified mustard, and also some of the important data that I've given you in today's class about why genetically modified mustard is really important, not only for our society to fight hunger and also for our economy, so that we can stop importing the edible oil and we can save our edible oil bill. So with this, we've come to the end of the video. If you've liked the video, hit the like button and also consider subscribing to the Legacy IAS Academy YouTube channel for more such enriching content, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Have a nice day. Thank you.